I can hear Kathy, but was John speaking? I couldn't hear.
No. So the rest of you then. So I guess I need to officially open this meeting as the subcommittee for the RFP process. So we've got Michelle on Zoom, we've got Danny with me here. So Dr. Hess is going to go through with us because what we're simply doing is making sure we're all on point on the qualifications of the search firm. So Michelle, you have the previous, correct, that we sent out, the previous qualifications? You're muted.
Two attachments that were sent today by him, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
So we have so this is what the qualifications for the last search was back in 2014.
Right. And yes, it sounds like we just changed dates. Is that correct?
As far as which dates?
RFP specifications for search firm for commissioner education.
Right. Well, the term of the contract, I don't know what you're at. I'm sorry. I'm not following you. Yes, go for it.
Madam Chair, so what I did is I took the actual written legal agreement from the last time between KSDE on behalf of the state board and the vendor, at the search firm at that point, and I took the scope of work that they performed and I just transferred it into basically item number 3 here, the scope of work and deliverables. So I copied that over, and it's almost word for word, but not quite. But it is the same type of work that was done or was in the contract last time. So the preliminary search activities of working with the board and some stakeholder groups to determine what qualifications for the commissioner, advertising the vacancy, actively recruiting applicants, screening applicants, coordinating the interviews, and then helping with the transition. So that was kind of the big groupings of work that happened with the search firm last time. So that's where that came from.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Now we want to delve into the qualifications.
Right, that's probably the main thing that we're looking at.
And Madam Chair, that was just some placeholder language I put in there, so I'm happy to tweak it as you see fit.
Right, so that's kind of the conversation, Michelle, and that we're trying to come up with, and with Dr. Hess's help, the language that would broaden the scope to some extent, with the idea that we would go ahead and look at search firms that have gone outside the world of public agency and commissioners of education. So my verbiage in thinking that through in the last little bit, and I meant to say this and I apologize, so I'm going to pause real quick. So for anybody else that might watch this later or is watching it now, we ended up 2 hours after the last meeting because all of a sudden we converged our calendars, and people who were going to be out of state and realized that we were going to have to get on this quickly so we could get this process moving like we were talking about in the previous meeting. So didn't realize our calendars were clashing so hard until we started talking about that after the last meeting. So this was a little bit of emergency trying to pull this together. So again, not trying to put anybody outside of anything. We just literally sat down right after the meeting and went to our calendars and went, okay, that's a problem. So I and Danny were here anyway to stay, and we got Michelle back on from her where she's at. So
thank you, Michelle.
Yeah, really appreciate that, Michelle. But she was going to be gone, Danny's going to be gone, and just different things were happening. So back to qualifications. I don't know if this is the right verbiage, but I'm trying to make sure we're all on the same page until we find the right verbiage. So possibly looking for private CEO positions, somebody who has searched in that realm. So I don't know if that's the verbiage that you would use, Dr. Hess, or what exactly that looks like when you're talking about this kind of a,
I think something could, pardon me, Madam Chair, I think you could have, let me back up. I assume we want the vendor to have a demonstrated history of successfully doing these searches.
correct.
So, so you could amend the existing language to be something along the lines of the selected vendor must have a demonstrated history of successfully leading national searches for executive officers of public agencies, private nonprofit organizations, or other.
Right.
I'm just trying to think of the other. Yeah, trying to figure out the exact verbiage is a little bit difficult.
Michelle, do you have any words of wisdom here on this?
Did you have a certain phrase that you were thinking of, Michelle?
It's so hard. It's so quick because it's like we just got it, and it's like I'm just trying to digest everything without,
So the main thing is number 5 on page 2 of the qualifications of the search firm.
Yeah, I mean, I think.
So if we to just allow us to pull in maybe a few other search firms just to see what they would offer, but we still want them to have done national searches, have a successful.
Oh, definitely.
Right.
So you're talking about the qualifications of the search firm.
Correct.
That's all we're talking about
That's
right
all
now,
we're
correct?
talking about. That's it. Yep, just the search firm because this is
Yeah,
what the
as
biz
far as
were.
like definitely like CEO, because the CEO, you could if you're looking for CEOs, that person may have worked in, that they may be seeking somebody that's actually worked in an organization or a as far as like a government agency or whatever, we may find that. But if you want to keep it kind of. And I understand you want to keep it broad but narrow.
Right.
But you want to.
I know, right? How do you do that? So that's kind of that's where we're
Yeah.
at as far as,
Yep.
we have the public agencies, we have the private nonprofit organizations, but to Danny's point, he was looking for a little bit more, even testing the waters of the private industry, right?
Correct.
So,
I guess, can we say executive officers of private business organizations?
I think Dr. Hess has a thought.
I was going to add to or private business organizations. So
Literally, if we say it that way, it'll.
So the selected vendor must have a demonstrated history of successfully leading national searches for chief executive officers of public agencies, private nonprofit organizations, or private business organizations.
Yes.
The next sentence must also stay in there, by the way, because they have this contract has to have that DA 146A in there. So I just wanted to,
Thank you for
the
that.
Office of Procurement and Contracts wouldn't let them agree to it in the first place, but I'm going to cover our bases just in case.
Yeah. That lovely form, yes.
And then this, are you okay with that, Michelle?
Does that sound right to you? The private business organization?
The private business? Are you
Yes.
okay with that?
Because we're still talking executive officers, right? So we're looking at that top level.
Yes.
And then, so as far as walking through, so this just kind of keeps saying it to make sure we're all catching it. So this was literally taken from the contract from the previous search firm. So this was the work that they did for the board. In the advertising, the preliminary search activities, recruiting applicants, screening those applicants, coordinating the interviews, and then the transition, working with the board, establishing objectives for the new Commissioner of Education. Actually, when you said transition, I hadn't even thought about that. So that's an interesting piece to that. So that's very cool. And then, of course, the start date of July 1. So what else is after that?
We won't change that.
Kathy,
I think we're okay.
who does the interviewing process? That firm does? What
They
did you say about the interviewing
coordinate
process?
coordinate
What was that? I'm sorry?
interviews.
They coordinate it.
They coordinate the
coordinate.
interviews.
Okay, they
So they're
coordinate. Okay,
working
thank
with the board to get those dates to be able to bring candidates to us that we decide we
Gotcha.
want to interview.
Thank you very much. Okay,
Yeah.
thanks for clarifying that.
Absolutely. And then if we want to do any of those focus groups, they would help work with that realm, which we saw that they did that last time in that timeline, right? So they had different focus groups. I mean, I would definitely want to make sure we're talking to the education world, that we're hearing from them what they see as important, different stakeholder groups. So that's something, again, that the board's going to have to come together and decide if we want to do that, what does that look like? But this is saying that they would assist us in whatever we choose to do. So having that in there would be really important, because if we want to do focus groups, we want them to help us with that.
And this is going to be for 30 days.
Right.
So, and at the end of 30 days, we cannot accept if we get any bids, we can accept none of them if we want to and redo the whole thing again. Is that right?
Madam Chair, yes. There are ways to if the state agency does not feel like the bids were responsive to what they needed or wanted, can request that it be reposted. I would just point, that will push back that would push back the start of any kind of process that you want to do. So, and obviously that is for the full board to decide, including the extent of any preliminary focus groups and stuff like that. But just, I don't know. It'll depend if you end up with a search firm. I think a lot of what your schedule that you're going to do, and this is the reason why this was purposely kept pretty generic, and not wanting to preempt anything that the board will want to decide in terms of the actual process, the actual job search process. Figuring out when you want to make that announcement of who the new commissioner is will determine a lot of the time of what your timeline is based off of when the contract is
Basically,
executed.
we choose a date and we work backwards to make sure we get everything done.
I think I would imagine that's what the consultants are going to say, just to make sure that you have sufficient time, because if for focus groups or something like that, I mean, you don't want to, I would imagine, to make them useful, you don't want to just rush through them in 3 days or something like that. So, but just be forewarned. This document is neutral to the timeline of the job search, what you're looking for in the commissioner. All of that stuff is to be worked out with any search firm that you decide if you decide to hire one.
Right. And then on the cost-wise, do we plug in any parameters of what the cost is or to be?
Madam Chair, I would suggest not doing so. There is, because
you can probably negotiate or not.
You can in certain circumstances. You can. There is a provision to allow for if all of the cost proposals come back and we think, oh, that's way too high, we can't afford all of that. You can request of all the vendors through the Office of Procurement and Contract what is called the best and final offer. Oh, okay. So you can ask them to revise their cost sheets, or potentially their scope of work too, if they're if we're going to decrease our consultant fee, because that's going to be the primary driver of the cost is the consultant fee. So we can charge you $10,000 less, but we're not going to be able to do XYZ. Yeah. So there are provisions for that. I would not recommend making it public, so that way you can, you don't want to know. I would not want vendors. I don't like vendors knowing what our budget of things is, just to try to get the best dollar amount. Try to get the best offers possible.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, Michelle, thoughts?
I do have a quick thought that John just mentioned. So as far as if this goes out for the bidding thing, you're saying that based off of number 5, that would give us. Would we be able to bring different firms to the table as a board, or you're just saying that based off that scope of how that's written, we would have the option of all of the above? You think there were 5 different things, meaning the last one being private business, a CEO of a private business, correct? So that would encompass that, or do we want to bring any other firms that we have in mind to the table, or is that not part of the process?
So Madam Chair, all those qualifications is for the specific the specific search firm. So it speaks nothing to what the board might look for with the commissioner. So you're just saying that we, as a board, you would want, for this RFP, you would want a search firm that has a history of successfully leading national searches for chief executive officers for public agencies, so state agencies or local government or something like that, private nonprofit organizations, or private business organizations. So this could be a firm that, I mean, there are firms that specialize in education national searches, but there are other firms that are very broader and can do all sorts of things. So this is just speaking to the experience of the firm, not necessarily the person who will be the commissioner.
So I think possible, I'm not sure, okay, that it answered, because my thought in the midst of that, of what I thought you might be asking, Michelle, and maybe not, was if any board member finds out about a firm that they think we should consider, they could send them to the bidding portal, right? And ask them to, and invite them to bid.
Madam Chair, so part of the bidding process is we have to submit recommended bidders, and I've done some research on all sorts of different search firms to send, and all that means is that the Office of Procurement and Contracts, when they post it, they will send a notification to this firm. If you want to apply for it, here it is.
Right.
If there are literally hundreds of them, so it's hard to keep track of them. Generally, the state rules and regulations say that once something is posted, the state agency shouldn't really be in contact with potential bidders, just for the sake of, I guess, so we have a pretty strict one for agency staff. Once an RFP goes out, no contact about the RFP with any potential bidders, just for the sake of fairness.
So
That's not the question you asked. So that's what you're saying for your office, but a board member, if they know of a search firm, they could tell them to go to where the bid is posted and they could bid.
I think if that was the extent of the communication, this is available, you can go, here's the website to find it, I think that would probably be okay. But any communication in terms,
conversation with
yes,
them.
any kind of communication in terms of, there should not be any communication in terms of what the board is looking for out of a search firm. They can just be, FYI, this is here.
Yes. Yes, which is literally what I was saying.
Yeah.
So is that
So
okay? Yes, we need to be very clear. Yeah, no, I want us to be really clear. So maybe the thing we would want to say is if a board member finds a firm and they could send it through to Deborah. So that way there's no contact from a board member and Deborah could email that firm with the link. No, huh?
The other option is if you have a firm right now that you want to be sent to it, you can send that to me and I will put it on. I have a list already of, I think, 7 to submit with the bid. So if there's a firm that you want them to be notified of, you can email me and I will include it on the list. You can just send me their website and I can go find the contact information for them.
Okay.
And I will include it when we send it, and then they will be notified of it ahead of time.
So let's put a date on how long the board has to work on that. Michelle?
I have a quick question. So John, you had sent out, you have a list of 7, but does that 7 include a private business experience?
I would have to go and look. Deputy Commissioner Harwood knows of various firms. He sent me some. I don't know the backgrounds of some of them. I have the contact information for the search firm who did it last time, which is a firm that specializes in education searches. I'd have to look at the background of more of them. I will say, if in order to not slow down the process of getting it posted, if there is a firm that you find later, you could send that to me and I could pass it on to the Office of Procurement and Contracts and see if and ask them to further notify them, just to help maintain the process of trying to having no communication between us and potential bidders. That's another option that we could explore if you know, it's been posted for a week and you find one that you would
Really
want to
like
share.
to,
Yeah. That's a possibility as well.
So if we have those, or if we have three, let's say we have three, send those to you.
Yes.
To make sure they get in the,
In the
and
invitation.
then we'll know for sure that we'll know for sure which ones are out there, or we're not gonna know that, or is the board gonna know that, or when do we decide that?
When do we decide? Well, I'm sorry.
Well, are you, is the meeting, after this meeting, this is gonna happen, or do we need to inform the board, or are we just, if we have, like you said, you have 7, if we have 3 more that we could add right away, do those get added with your list of 7 that you already said you have?
Right.
That's what I was the plan was to do that, yes. And the timeline for when we submit it is up to the discretion of you. If you want it submitted as soon as possible, if you send it to me today or tomorrow morning, I can get it submitted to the Office of Procurement and Contracts tomorrow afternoon. So then it'll take them some days to process it, so it probably won't be posted until the end of next week or early the week after. Okay. But I can send that, and then I can follow up with them about other potential bidders. But if you have some that you want notified, you send them to me right now. There's no limit to suggested bidders. We have to provide at least 3.
But
we can
no
provide
limit.
way more than that. So if you have some,
We could have 300.
theoretically, yes.
Okay, so maybe the other thing we should make sure we get to each board member too is if they don't want to send it directly to you, where that firm can go and get the bid specifications. Because can any bid, let's say I want to go in and bid.
That's what he's saying, though, is the normal procedure is there is zero contact between the people requesting the bid and the possible bidders. That's why they do what they do with the Office of Procurement. So it's running through them for the sake of, what is that called? I mean, I know there's
So the reason why the Office of Procurement and Contracts has all these rules is just to ensure to cover as many bases to ensure there's no reason for a non-selected vendor to say they weren't given fair consideration. So that's why they put in all of these rules about communication between agencies and potential bidders. So that's that's kind of the general reason why.
Oh, I can appreciate that.
I can, like I said, I can talk to procurement about, if we identify additional search vendors a week in, can I send them to you?
Especially before they actually post it.
Yes.
Like if they're still in process.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And
I could send an updated, I don't know, I won't know exactly when I won't know when it's posted until it's posted.
Gotcha.
So, but I can, the bigger list we can send them in the first place, the better. I can clarify and let them know when I submit it that we might have additional firms that we want notified, and so we would like to run them through you just for the sake of, fairness and everything like that. We don't, so that way we're not.
To give them the heads up beforehand and say,
Yes,
this is possible to be
there might
coming.
be additional. We might have additional firms we want notified, or potential bidders notified of this RFP. So I will send them through you. Can you then please notify them? It might just be as simple as them emailing the person. Mm-hmm. You're emailing the firm, but like I can do that.
Open that door.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, so I want to just make sure, so after the fact and the bid's gone out and there's 10 vendors and you get an email 2 weeks after all that's got out, you can add them to the.
He's saying he would send it to the Office of Procurement and ask them to do that.
Madam Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, I've never done that before, but I will, when I am going to send a notification to our procurement officer when we submit it in the state's accounting system and tell them that it's been submitted. And I will let them know that that's what we're planning on doing. If you would be more comfortable with waiting a little bit to try to let board members do research about when they are, what vendors they would like to be notified, we can. I'm just I'm happy to do so. It's just going to push the timeline back for when this work can start, which will probably then also push back the timeline for when you can
Sure.
Announce who the new commissioner is.
So you're looking at a possible week from the time you submit it to the Office of Procurement before it's actually posted. So if we say we give the board until Monday morning, so they have the weekend, then John's going to hit the button at 10 a.m. Monday morning. That's the deadline. That gives an open window for everybody to do their research if they want to offer a vendor. So we can get this thing started, because the whole reason we're doing this meeting is to try to get this thing started.
Madam Chair, I'm happy to send out these specifications to the entire board with an email with this change, which I have made, and then send it out to them, and also say if you have any vendors you would like this to be sent out to, please send them to me by 10 a.m. Monday morning so they can be included in the list that is sent to procurement. I'm happy to do so.
Does that make sense, Michelle?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that gives everybody a voice.
Yeah.
Several of them talked about they wanted that voice, and so
Right.
I think that gives them that opportunity to weigh in.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yes, if you would do that, I think that would be, don't you think?
I'm happy to do so.
Do we have full consensus with the three of us?
Michelle, you good with that, Michelle?
Yeah.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
I can send that out this afternoon.
Okay.
So.
Perfect. Now, is there any other things? I mean, I've looked through this. If this was the scope of work before, it makes sense to me. And, not putting, like, everything you've said makes sense to me. That transition piece was the part that caught my attention. I think that's interesting and very cool that they would have a little bit of work that they would do in that process. Working with the board to, I think, isn't there something in here about creating interview questions even? John works with the board to do that so that we can develop a set of interview questions that we want them to use
yes.
under coordinate interviews. So there's a lot involved in this that they will work with us to build. So this is not us handing this to a search firm and we have nothing to say. They will work with us through the entire process. We just know, and Dr. Hess knows, the length of time this can take, so we want to get it started. So I think with adding the language of the private business organization broadens that scope, and then giving the board members until Monday morning that if they want to do a little research of their own, if they find firms out there that they think they would like to see bid it, that at least we can make sure they get it offered to them. I know I do. I've got a couple of ideas of my own that I'd like to process, and so I think that would, like Michelle said, that gives everybody some buy-in and some voice, even in this process, which I think is important too.
Yes.
Okay. So I need to know that you're good.
I'm good.
Okay. Sir, yes.
So there are a couple other logistical things I wanted to bring.
I thought we were good.
Sorry, Madam Chair. So there will have to be two members who are nominated to serve on the Procurement Negotiating Committee, so we can only appoint two, but that does not mean that 3 or even all 10 members can't sign NDAs to review the bids. It's just the Procurement Negotiating Committee is a 2-member or a 3-member organization or a three-member entity, and by practice it is two members from the agency issuing the RFP and 1 member from the Office of Procurement and Contracts. So it's just the course of signing off on the paperwork to, yes, we recommend this selected bidder if we want. So there's going to need to be two members appointed to serve on that. Like I said, that does not mean that all 10 members can't sign NDAs to review the bids. It's I need the names of 2 people who will actually put pen to paper to sign off on something. Okay. So,
Michelle, would you be okay if I and Danny as officers were those 2?
Sure.
Okay, appreciate that.
Okay.
And then, like you said,
You want to be one of the ones, Michelle?
I mean, if you say you can have more, I wouldn't mind signing a
2.
NDA.
Okay, let's just put all 3 of us.
No, he said there can only be 2 to start.
So on the committee, but I can get I can send, when it's posted, I'll get the NDA form. I can
Okay.
send it to every board member to,
Oh,
so that,
okay.
so
Really
that then
just
they can
needs two
review the
names.
bids.
Yeah.
We just need 2 names for the people who actually sign sign and ink the
Just like we
actual.
did for the board
Yes,
attorney.
it was just as you two did for the board attorney RFP.
Yeah, because by the time we were done, there were 4 of us, right?
Yes, so there was originally, so we can have more,
Okay.
actually review.
Okay.
They'll just have to sign an NDA.
Okay. All right.
You okay, Michelle?
I am, thank you, I am.
Thank you, Michelle. Appreciate you taking time. I know you've got a lot going on there, so
Thank
thanks.
you. Thank you.
We literally stopped for a minute after the meeting and went, oh no.
No worries.
Oh no. Let's see if we can make this happen. So thank you for being able to jump in quickly. Appreciate it. I and Danny are
Sure.
stuck here for a little bit, so we were good. But so thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, Dr. Hess, very much for also putting this in your schedule. I appreciate that. I think we can adjourn at this point, and then we will, Dr. Hess, so to just kind of encapsulate, Dr. Hess is now going to, with the changes we have made to the qualifications, we'll send out an email to the board with the 7 you have, inviting all of us that if before 10 a.m. Monday morning, we can email you more firms to invite to bid.
Yes, and
Okay.
I will put them.
That is
put them
great
on the
because if
list.
email comes from you, they can just reply. And,
Yeah, I will, yeah, they can send it directly to me, and I will add them on Monday, and then we'll get it sent to procurement on Monday.
Okay.
So.
Sounds good. Okay.
Thank you very much.
We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thanks.